the next day. I already came out and cut the rivers out with the jigsaw and did a little bit of fine tuning. Some places I was a little wide. The only problem I have now is very fragile, especially here in the middle, because there's just a couple of little strips holding together now. So I'm going to try to transfer it over to the workbench without breaking. And now I'm going to start chiseling it away. The idea is to angle it inland and just cut it off like this, so that it leaves a kind of a rough shore type deal. Now that's a good thing about MDF, it's very easy to carve. You know, one thing about it is that chipping it away like this doesn't create dust. What I did was I ran the jigsaw up here to cut these rivers, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the chisel and just cut the bank along the side to define them. And I'll do that on both sides. So who's your favorite character in the show? I gotta confess that my favorite so far is Arya. She's got like all the attitude, and I really liked her little trek across the countryside with the Hound. I really don't think the Hound's dead. You know, I hope he's not anyway, because I like him too. I read through the first book. I'm halfway through the second book. The timing of the show and the books are out of sync a little bit. You know, they're very close in the storyline. There's some details, more details in the book, obviously. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the next season, that's for sure. I'm doing this for quite a while now, and I said when I came out that I would stop when I got up to King's Landing, and I'm there. I would say that I'm, well, probably a little over 1/3 done here. It's going to take some time to do all this. I have to check the time when I go in. It's starting to get dark. I came out here around 4-ish, and it's probably around 5:30 now, so an hour and a half to get this much done. But then I had to do some other stuff too. I'm getting faster at it too. Doesn't matter what you do, even if you've done it like 100 times before, once you start out on a new project, then you start to get into the groove. And you know when you use the 1/2-inch chisel, when you use 1/4-inch chisel, and it saves some time. I know it's going to come up because someone will probably say it. Yes, I know that there's a wheel that you can get to go on the grinder that will, you know, do all this carving. But a few points I want to mention about using one of those. First of all, I don't have one, and I don't have any plans of getting one because I'm not sculpting things very often. I'm certainly not, you know, hogging out the seats on Sam Maloof chairs or anything like that. Second thing is there's a lot of dust. They make a lot of dust. Cutting this MDF just with the jigsaw alone was a lot of dust. I wouldn't want to see one of those things. I definitely have to take it outdoors, and no way I'd be doing it this time of the year. Another thing is I want a hand tool look. I like the way the chisel has cut along the edge here, just a 1/4-inch one. I'm doing the majority of the removal with the 1/2-inch, but I come in after and I, you know, sculpt the edge with the 1/4-inch. Now I don't know if it's going to stay like that. I got to put the veneer on top of this after it's glued down to the substrate, so that may change. But I like what I see so far. I'm going to sweep it off with the broom a little bit here. I'm going to have some cleaning up to do, and as you can see, there's quite a few more marks on my workbench now. Kind of give a look at how it's going so far. I think it's going to turn out pretty good. Here's the sculpted edge I was talking about. Well, if yesterday was day 2, which it was my second day working on the table, today would be day 3, but I'm not going to do a whole lot today. I came out here this afternoon to make the substrate for the table I got to thinking that since this map section here is actually about 24 inches wide, then the piece that I have, which is the other half of the sheet that I got cut like at Home Depot, they ripped it in half before I took it, is only 24.5 inches. It's not really wide enough for what I want, so I'm going to have to add on to it. I've had this biscuit joiner for, I don't know, 10, 12 years, and it's really very poorly designed. It's Freud. I don't even know if they make this anymore, but the fence, you have to pound it down to get it to move, and then they've got this single locking thing here that really does a piss poor job of, you know, locking it. If I use the biscuit joiner more often, then I buy a new one, but I don't use it very often, so this one will have to do. Another problem with it is that at some point in time I hit a nail with the blade, and I never did replace that, so it's pretty dull. It seems like nearly every video that I use construction adhesive in, people are asking me what it is. Now, I know that this is not going to stop the questions, because this video, you know, will come out, and then the next one that I use this in, I'll still be getting the same questions. But just to answer those people that are paying attention, I use polyurethane construction adhesive. It has to be polyurethane. That's the strongest. Regular, you know, subfloor construction adhesive won't work. It's not good enough. I got questions about what I do to keep it from, you know, sealing up and whatnot. Well, I use it fairly regularly, so I really don't have to worry about it too much. If it's just overnight, what I do is I pull the end out, and it pumps right through. What you got here is this little plug, and then throw that away. If I'm going to leave it for a week or so, what I'll do is I'll put a big lag screw in there, and that seals it up. Maybe a 5/16 or a 3/8 inch lag screw, and that will not fully do it, but it will help. Another way is if you leave it too long and it starts to set up back further in, what I do is I just take the nozzle, crush it with pliers while I'm pumping it, and sometimes that'll pop the plug right out. Other times I'll just cut the nozzle back, usually because by that time there's not a whole lot left in the tube, and I'll just use up what's left over and throw the rest away. Getting a coat along the edge. I'm not going to bother getting any into the biscuit slots. The biscuits here are just for alignment only. I'll take the biscuits, shove them in. You can see that I put my slots a little bit close to the edge, but like I say, they're just for alignment, so it really doesn't matter. Questions about the base, I asked about that on the first one there, and got lots of suggestions, especially about using tree trunks, which is really neat. You know, if you take the tree trunk actually and carve a face into it, then you've got weirwoods, you know. I'm thinking maybe 3. But then I got to thinking a little bit, that would kind of be difficult, first of all. And not only that, it would take away from the top. You know, the top is what you want to be looking at, not the base. So I had an idea of doing, you know how the throne is made out of all these different swords that were, you know, welded together. I was thinking make a bunch of MDF swords so that that's holding up the table, you know, having them all at different angles, maybe 30 or 40 grouped in underneath the table to hold it up.